everyone. Welcome to our show, Life After COVID-19. This is your host, Meeta Ramchandani. I have two very special guests with me tonight. Our Honorable Mayor of the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, Mr. Joe Pitts, and Dr. Anil Patel, MD, Gastroenterology Specialist and Entrepreneur from Clarksville, Tennessee. Welcome to our show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Peter. Great to be with you.
Thank you. So can we begin, Mr. Pitts, can we begin with a little bit of your political background for our viewers all over the country?
Yes, Meeta, I'd be glad to. In 2006, I was first elected to the Tennessee House of Representatives, representing my hometown of Clarksville, and I served 12 years until 2018, and then we ran for the mayor of the city of Clarksville, and we were elected for our first term in November of 2018. So we're about 18 months into our.
Great. Dr. Anil Patel, we would like you to also share your journey in US with our viewers.
So first of all, Meeta, thank you for giving me the forum, and I appreciate it. I think it's a very good service. I have been in Clarksville since for the last 30 years. I was born and raised in Africa and did my training in Nashville. And I have been practicing medicine in Clarksville, and we have called this home, and this is where we will be from here on. So it's been really good, and I'm just proud to be a Clarksvillian, and thank Mr. Pitts for making this a wonderful city to live in.
I totally agree on that. So we would like to commend you on the smooth reopening after the COVID crisis of our city, Clarksville, Tennessee, all the businesses. Could you give us a rundown on what businesses have already reopened and what are yet to reopen? And does the city have any preventive measures in place to prevent the spread of the virus after the reopening?
Well, thank you, Meeta. Yes, we did a very deliberate effort in coordination with Montgomery County Mayor Jim Durrett to make sure that the city and the county worked together so there was no confusion on the part of the public. Governor of the state of Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee, he is actually the authority that has the authority to open and reopen Clarksville, Montgomery County, and other counties surrounding us. But virtually every business is open. Some on a limited basis, but they are given the opportunity to open. And we just ask them to take precautions. In the city, for example, at City Hall and our other buildings, we take the temperature of employees as well as visitors alike every day when they come into the building. And if you test hot, as I say, then you're turned away and asked to go seek medical help. And we've only had to turn away a couple of folks, mostly employees, who come and they have an elevated temperature. So really every business that wants to be open is given the ability to open under very limited guidelines. And so I think you'll find that for the most part, we're functioning and doing very well.
That's great. Yes. Also, a lot of people have a question that if they want to get tested for COVID-19, where should they go? And does the city fund it?
Well, we always try to steer people to their private health provider because no one knows you better than your physician. If you don't have a physician or you can't get an appointment as quickly as you'd like, then the Montgomery County Public Health Department on Pageant Lane will test you, and they test you for free. So the first line of defense is always go to your doctor, and then secondly, if you do not have a doctor or you need to be tested more quickly, then the Montgomery County Health Department can help you. And the city does not fund that. That's completely funded by the state of Tennessee and the federal government.
Okay, that's great. So as we all know, the budgets have been greatly impacted due to COVID crisis. So what impact do we expect? Like, do you think a rise in the property taxes or anything like that?
Well, we have not proposed an increase in the property taxes for our new fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020. We have taken about a 12% hit on our revenues going in. But what we did about February of this year, we asked all of the departments of the city to reduce their budgets by 5%. And we postponed a lot of capital building projects just to be able to save some money and brace for what impact the budget may have regarding the COVID-19 virus. And then we further reduced another 5% around April 1st. Again, just trying to save money going into the end of the year, not knowing what the. So we have a $543 million budget in the city of Clarksville. We've had an impact, but it's not been as great an impact as I thought it would be. And I think we've made some moves proactively to try to lessen the landing.
That's great. That's good to know. Dr. Anil Patel, I would like, being a businessman yourself and a doctor, would you have any input on this?
Yes. So first of all, this is unprecedented. I don't think anybody living on Earth today has ever experienced anything like it. In previous times, we would always have some sort of upheaval or another, but this is across the board for everyone. So it's a new normal, and it has affected everything, even healthcare. So, it really is very challenging, and it has impacted all of us in every aspect of life. And we will have to adapt and move towards a new normal. To that effect, we are working, and, like we say, America always comes back, and we'll be back and strong, and we'll be back soon.
Right, great. Also, parents always have these questions, especially regarding reopening of schools for the next academic year. Do you have any plans for that? And how could the kids maintain social distancing? So far, they've been doing online, for the past 2 months. But are there any plans in the future?
Well, Meeta, I think the Montgomery County school system is preparing to open on schedule in August of this year. They are looking at ways to protect the students and the faculty and staff, as well as the families of those students. So they're really kind of looking at several different options. Is it a combination of in-classroom learning and virtual learning? Is it all virtual? Is it all classroom? So they're looking at a number of options. But I expect our school system will be back in person in August as planned.
I think the kids also are ready to go back to school because it's going to be a long summer.
I think you're exactly right, and it's unusual to hear students say in June that they're ready to go back to school.
Yeah, that's really good. Also, we would like to know something about our city's transportation infrastructure and what plans you guys have.
Well, thank you for that question. Prior to the pandemic, prior to COVID, kind of turning our world upside down, we were prepared to unveil a transportation plan, what I'm calling Traffic 2020, where we were looking at every quadrant of the city to make some road improvements, build new roads, put sidewalks in neighborhoods. But one of the other features we wanted to do was to build pedestrian crossings. It does you no good to be able to get up the sidewalk to the intersection if you can't get safely across. So we were prepared to do that. And then the other piece to that plan was our bus system, our transit system. Right now we have one transportation hub downtown, and every bus in the city must come to downtown, transfer, and then go back out. That's a waste of time, great waste of energy, causes pollution, all those things. So we were going to build 3 other hubs in other parts of the city. But because of COVID, we postponed that plan until next year when our revenues will be sufficient to be able to launch the plan. But I expect it'll be a 20-year plan. We will attack some of the things the quickest that will make the greatest impact. And we've got some exciting plans going forward. So we're just kind of waiting now.
Okay, that's great. Any other developments in the downtown area?
Yeah, we're following very closely what Montgomery County's doing with the multipurpose event center. And we want to make sure that we have plenty of parking there as well. And then we're in the initial stages of doing a performing arts center, or really I'm calling the new location, new building for the Roxy Regional Theater that's been talked about a long time. And so we've got a little group that's working, putting the financial plan together. But again, because of the COVID situation. We've kind of delayed that just a little until
Right.
we know exactly what our revenues will be. But we're all about supporting our historic downtown because that really feeds our community and provides a great region for entertainment.
Yes, we have a beautiful downtown.
We do. Thank you. Yes, we do.
Yes. Dr. Patel, my next question is for you. As the studies show that we might have a second wave of the virus in fall, what do you think? Are we well prepared for it now that we've gone through it for the past few months?
Yeah, Sumita, that's a very good question, and I'm going to try and be as objective as I can, and I'm going to give you two sides to this. So, as a practicing physician, I deal with one patient at one time, whereas the policymakers and the politicians have to look at the big picture and look at the entire country and the population. And we have to make a middle of the road policy that kind of allows us to navigate through this area. So, theoretically, all the virologists, and we have tremendous respect for Dr. Fauci. I mean, man is a genius. Yes, I mean, it's going to happen, but, we have policies in place. We have things we're doing that will mitigate some of it. And we have some facts on the virus that we have to understand. So if you would give me a minute,
Sure.
I just want to go back a little bit and talk about the virus. I know everybody knows everything about the virus, but there is so much confusion. I just want to clarify a few things that will really help us understand. In my mind, I think if we understand how the virus works, it'll really help us navigate through this, because what one individual does has a tremendous impact on the rest of us. So first of all, this is an RNA virus. An RNA virus is as opposed to a DNA virus. And I know it's a technical term, but let me simplify it a little bit.
Right.
The difference between a virus and a bacteria. A virus cannot live on its own. It has to have a host in which to live. And a bacteria, on the other hand, can live on its own, and it can infect a host and multiply and cause damage. So a virus in itself cannot live. Now, a DNA virus and an RNA virus. An RNA virus is a virus that needs DNA to multiply. So that's the equivalent of somebody hijacking a plane. So if a terrorist were to hijack a plane, the plane can go to any distance, any direction that the hijacker wants it to go. And that's what the virus does to us. It's an RNA virus. It gets into our body and takes over DNA and then does whatever it needs to do. So in order to prevent that from happening, obviously the best thing we know right now, social distancing, avoiding contact, droplets, we know all of that. But in the big picture, there are so many things about the virus we don't know. And obviously, that's where the confusion lies. And on the other side, people's beliefs. I was just reading something the other day and says 38% of people who watch Fox think this is a hoax. So, it's you have to work in the realms of all this and then go. So to answer your question, yes, we will have a second wave. But if you look at risk factors, if you look at people over 60 who have comorbid conditions, and if they stay safe and don't do activities or do things that would expose them, then obviously that's where the biggest mortality is. So even if we have a second wave, we can mitigate that. On the other side, younger people who are healthy,
Right.
at some point need to be exposed. We talk about herd immunity. The only way we'll get over this is all of us be exposed, but not in a big dose and in a manner where the body is able to fight this and prevent us from getting the virus again. So with these things in place, we may have a bump, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as the initial attack. Nonetheless, nobody knows for sure. So we'll just have to wait and see. Right now we think the incubation period is about 3 weeks. So, we opened a couple of weeks ago. We still have one more week. Like I was telling Mr. Pitts earlier, the Wall Street Journal today had some cities where the incidence of new cases have gone up, and Nashville is one of those. So we
Right.
just have to be careful. Just want to remind people that as far as we know, the virus is not gone yet.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think they still need to, opening up is good for people to get back to work, but I think they still need to take precautions when they are out, especially wearing the mask, hand hygiene. This is all important right now to stop the prevent of the virus. Also, as there is a lot of clinical studies going on, about the medicines, that help in the treatment, though we do not have anything confirmed yet, but remdesivir, hydroxychloroquine, plasma transfusions. What do you think is the most promising solution according to you so
Yeah.
far? I mean, what have you experienced?
Sure. So let me answer this in part. So the best treatment is obviously not getting the virus. So prevention is the best treatment we know. But if you were to get the virus, we don't have the exact number, but over 99% of people who are exposed to the virus will recover. What we need to do at that point, obviously, is isolate yourself so you don't spread it to anyone. That's the most biggest reason for isolation. But you will, symptomatic treatment, and you have a very good chance of getting better. Once you get better, question is, will you get reinfected again? The chance, again, we don't know for sure, but the chances of that is very, very small. The biggest thing that is in the works now is taking blood from people who are exposed and see if you would, transfuse these antibodies and not only help heal but help prevent new cases. Data is not in. We don't know for sure if this is going to be effective or not. But of everything we have, this is the most promising. The remdesivir treatment made by Gilead, got approved in a hurry. If you really look at the scientific data, the benefit is marginal. There is some benefit, but it's not clear cut and it's marginal at best, but it's better than nothing. Hydroxychloroquine, very, very controversial. Lancet just pulled an article here yesterday because they couldn't verify the source of some of the data cited in that article. And the British Medical Journal today says it has absolutely no benefit. They're doing a study on 4,500 patients, and there's absolutely no benefit in either prevention or treatment. So they have stopped that trial on hydroxychloroquine. As far as the vaccine, obviously there's a big race to the vaccine. The Chinese are hot and heavy on that. Obviously, we have several companies that are working on it, but several questions remain. It is, are we dealing with just one kind of virus? Can the virus mutate? Can the virus evolve and change? And vaccine is a long process. You have to worry not only about the effectiveness of the virus, but you have to worry about the side effects and the potential issues. As you know, currently there's a big controversy on mothers not giving their children vaccines, and the belief is that the vaccine could potentially harm their children. So, you have to be careful. The earliest we would see a vaccine would be 2021, but it's the hope that it be something that will help us be safe and open up normally.
Right. I mean, I think everybody is waiting for the vaccine to be out so that, people, that's the hope for the people to get rid of the virus, for a common man.
Prevent from getting the virus.
Prevent from getting the virus. Right. So, Mr. Pitts, I know that a lot of families have been affected due to this COVID-19 and unemployment and all. Is there any local organization that we could help with fundraising, like our community could contribute to helping the people in need? Anything?
Thank you. Thank you for asking Dr. Patel that question, because I was fascinated with his perspective and learned opinion about the virus. And I'd never heard a virus referred to as a hijacker on a plane, but that's exactly what it is. It hijacks our body, makes us do what it wants us to do. But yes, to answer your question, the United Way of the Greater Clarksville region has a Community Cares Fund, and TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, has provided match money up to $25,000. So people give, and TVA will match that, and it will help offset utility bills for those who are unemployed and right now and struggling to make ends meet, to keep the water flowing, keep the electricity on, and in this case, keep broadband and the internet going. So that would be a great place to go. Just go to, you can look up United Way of the Greater Clarksville region in Clarksville, Tennessee, and make a contribution. It will be doubled or matched by the Tennessee Valley Authority, and we're very grateful for them and for CDE Lightband.
Oh, that's great. I would like to request our viewers that please go ahead and donate. No amount is small. Whatever you can, it helps. So yes, we would like to request our viewers to do that. Dr. Patel, I would like to ask you about, since you own a lot of senior living homes. So we've been listening to the news and how the senior living homes are affected by the virus spread. So what precautions have you been taking?
Yes. So, Meeta, thanks for that question. And I'm glad Mr. Pitts is on, because we had a conversation here a couple of days ago and we could relate to this. So first of all, the first thing we did, I would say towards the end of February, is we cut all visitations. No visitors, no family members, nobody could visit the facility. The staff members were screened every day, and everything was very, very tight. As you know, in the United States, we have had 108,000 deaths to date, and majority of those deaths are older people who were in nursing home and senior living facilities. And it made us very, very nervous, because if there was an outbreak, it would kill a lot of people. And so the key was to prevent this from happening. So what we have done is, obviously with technology, we've been communicating with families, and then being able to visit with distancing. So for example, a family member would come in the courtyard, and through the window, they would be able to see their loved one and at least have some eye contact, but not any physical contact. So it's been very, very challenging. The biggest heroes are the people who come and work in these places every day. And, we're blessed, our facility in Clarksville, we just had everyone tested and everything is negative. Yet we're still keeping complete isolation. Mr. Pitts had a situation where we had a demented patient who would do very well to see the family, and there was a request that the family be allowed, but we talked about it, and we have to look at the big picture. One is, if we allow one family member, how are we going to stop other family members? Secondly, if the virus were to enter and we lose several people, I think that would be very tragic. So far people understand, and people have been very, very reasonable. And unfortunately, it's been a pain for all of us, because the social isolation has affected people's ability to visit and all that. But, it is what it is. We'll get through it. But in the meantime, we have to be patient.
Right. I mean, you have to be careful. So my next question is for both of you. As we know, a lot of businesses are suffering. It's hard for them to stay open, or, a lot of them want to file bankruptcy. So what advice do you have, Dr. Patel? You are a businessman yourself. So what do you advise them? How can they stay afloat, in this difficult time?
All right. Meeta, that's a very good question. So the first thing is prevention. So, we, the bad word in America is leverage. We have to live within our means. It sounds very crass, but truly things happen. And, we have to plan for some of these events and kind of work accordingly. So prevention is the first thing. But the second most important thing is sit down and have a plan. Depending on the business you have, we're in the medical field. 2 months, I've never not worked for more than, less than a week. I've never been off for more than a week ever. And for 2 months, we didn't have any activity in the office. Well, we had to work with our staff, give everyone some hours and navigate through this. But, in the big picture, even we have this virus outlook, but, chronic diseases remain. We opened a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days a week, and we've already had several new cases of colon cancer. So, chronic diseases remain. Staying true to the mission of what we're there for, working with our staff and having a team will allow us to get through this. So relationship, your mission, your outlook towards life and what you do helps you get through this. Everything is not about money. I think if people have a goal and mission, you'll be able to get through it.
That's wonderful. That's a beautiful piece of advice. Mr. Pitts, we would like to know your insight.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And it's great to have Dr. Patel on here because he is quite a successful business person, entrepreneur. His Jubilee House here on the corner of Warfield Boulevard and Ted Crozier Boulevard in Clarksville is a beautiful facility. I've had the pleasure of being inside, not as a resident, but as a guest. It is a beautiful facility. It's better than a 5-star hotel.
Right.
World-class food. I mean, just the accommodations are wonderful. So I applaud him for setting the high standard for the rest of the facilities in our area. But yeah, I applaud his approach to restricting or limiting or actually prohibiting visitors because as he described, if one person gets it, that's one person who got it and perhaps could be at jeopardy. So I applaud him for doing that's a tough decision. I know it was hard on him and his administration to do that, but it was the right thing because you have to look at the good. So for protecting our public that way.
Right. So even if like right now everything is open, so we are going to see a little bit spread in the virus. So, but do you think that ever again we'll have this lockdown in the future again?
Well, one would hope not. And Dr. Patel, I'm sure, could probably weigh in as well. I would hope that we wouldn't have to go into a shelter-in-place lockdown like we've had to do late February through March and into early April. But it really depends on the behavior of the public. If they do, as Dr. Patel suggested, and practice social distancing and good hygiene and reduce or eliminate contact when possible, then I think we can limit whatever increases. But if we get a little bit lazy or if we get a little bit lax, we might see a spike. So really, it's up to us. It's not really up to government. It's up to us to kind of control our fate and our destiny.
I also have a question regarding, we know that you are a great supporter for diversity, but seeing the current scenario, what's happening all over the country, as the leader of the city, what advice do you have for the people in our city to maintain the peace so that we don't have any issues?
Well, we've had several days of really outstanding groups coming together, and they call them protests or demonstrations. But it's really been about gathering and talking to each other and highlighting a particular issue. And in this case, racism. Racism has no place. It should have a place in our hearts or our city, our state, nation, or world. But it does exist. It's up to us as individuals to root that out and eliminate it. But I think my message to the public has been, I'm listening. I'll continue to listen. I can't address issues if I don't know about them. So I invite people to reach out to me, contact me, let me know what they see and what they hear, what they're experiencing, so that we can begin to address it. But I know in Clarksville, Tennessee, our Clarksville Police Department is outstanding. One of very few law enforcement agencies in the country that's accredited by a nationally recognized accreditation agency. And there are more than 480 standards they have to achieve in order to be accredited. So we've had a great track record of interacting and building relationships with the public. So I think that's a testament to our people, and it's a greater testament to our police department and our police officers.
That's amazing. I know big round of applause for them. And we are proud of being Clarksvillians. So Dr. Patel, I would like your insight on that as well.
So, I grew up in Africa, so I do have a bigger perspective on this. And personally, I think it's all about communication. And we have to address this issue and communicate to get through it. Not discussing it or not coming up with a plan to solve it will only make it worse. Now, obviously on the other side, looting and all that obviously also is also not right. So I think communication and coming up with a plan, and all of us individually making a collective effort, understanding both sides will help us resolve this. This can be resolved. And, who is the government? We are the government. We are the people. I don't think it's one person making that decision to do this or another is something that's going to help. I think all of us individually and then collectively worked with this, and I think we can get through it. But the key is going to be communication. In most cases, it's perception that's the issue. There are good people and bad people in every society. I remember, Mr. Pitts. I want to share this story with you. When I first came to the U.S. in 1985, I was doing my residency, and I got this call from Channel 5, Mr. Larry Brinton. I don't know if you remember him as a reporter. But he called me and he wanted to interview me, and I was really worried. I said, "What?" And he came to see me at the hospital, and he says, "Listen, I have a couple of questions to ask you." And I asked, and he says, "Today we arrested a Mr. Patel, and I just want to talk to you about this." So I didn't know who it was, but it was some other Patel they arrested for some fraud in Nashville. And so we got into the conversation, and like anything else, I said, like a Smith or a Jones, we have good and bad. Everything is everywhere. It's all relative, and that's what it is. Right. So that happened in 1985. So again, it's nobody's above the law. I think we have to communicate, and we have to get through this and deal with the sensitivities. Different people perceive things differently when the intent is not what it needs to be. I think opening up channels and individually making an effort will get through this.
Very well said. So before we leave, Mr. Pitts, would you like to share anything else with our people of the city? Any big plans for Clarksville, Tennessee?
Well, thank you, Mita. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be with you on this broadcast. It's been a pleasure to be with my friend Dr. Patel. Again, we've interacted over the past several years, and I just value his friendship. But Clarksville's a great city. We are diverse, but we need to celebrate our diversity more. We sometimes pay lip service to it, but we need to celebrate that diversity, bring all the voices together. When we ran for mayor in 2018, our slogan was "One City," and so our effort has been to unite the different communities of our city into being one city. Doesn't mean we'll always agree. It just means we will unite together as one city, get in the same harness, to use a well-worn phrase, and be pulling in the same direction. But we have a lot to be proud of. We've got a lot of work to do, but I think our best days are ahead.
Right, that's true. Dr. Patel, do you have any message for our viewers before
Absolutely. Two things. First of all, Mr. Pitts, thank you for your leadership. And for those of you who don't know where Clarksville is, it was voted by Money Magazine as the #1 city in America.
Yes.
And truly it is. You've heard Mr. Pitts's plans, and we've lived here for 30 years, and we can vouch to it. It's the most beautiful place, very nice, very well balanced. And, in 30 years, I've never had a single issue with anybody or anything about race, etc. So I want you to know it's a wonderful place to live in. But on the other side, through any adversity, there is always going to be innovation. There's silver lining. On the other side of this, we're going to innovate. We're going to do things more efficiently. We're going to come out strong. We're going to come out better. I deal with patients every day, and, young, old, and we get into a conversation, and 100% of patients are very confident to say, America will be back. Yes, we'll have some short-term issues, but we will get through this, and we'll come out stronger and better. I just love the spirit. I'm just proud to be an American. There's no other place like the U.S., and God bless America.
Amen.
That's amazing. That was such a positive note from both of you to end our show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you will come back on our show. Thank you so much. Keep watching My Dream TV USA. Thank you, guys.
Good night. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Pitts.